Hello, everyone. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student in psychology, and today I want to talk about a particular type of person I've noticed avoidant individuals often seem to fall deeply in love with. This is something I've observed through patterns in relationships. For example, when I work with an avoidant man, I naturally become curious about the qualities of the person he chose as his long-term partner. The same applies when I see an avoidant woman in a relationship with someone who has a more anxious attachment style. I pay attention to both people because relationships are made up of patterns between two individuals. Over time, I've noticed that the partners of avoidant people often share certain qualities, and sometimes the avoidant person will openly tell me, yes, this is exactly why I fell in love with them, or explain what they admire most about their partner. So whether people agree with this idea or not, I do believe there are certain traits that can make an avoidant person feel especially connected and deeply attached. That doesn't mean you need to have every quality I mention. You don't have to change yourself or become someone else. Nobody is perfect, and this is simply a conversation based on observations I've made. My perspective is also limited because as a therapist, I mainly see people who come into therapy. That is only one small window into human relationships. So please take what I say here with a grain of salt. I can be wrong. I have biases, just like everyone else. Trust your own judgment and understanding of your life more than anything I say on this channel. You know yourself better than I ever could. One quality that seems especially meaningful to avoidant people is emotional self-management. Being able to stay relatively calm, regulate your emotions, and work through difficult feelings without making everything intensely overwhelming can create a strong sense of safety for an avoidant partner. This doesn't mean you should suppress your emotions or never express them. It simply means learning how to communicate what you're feeling in a way that doesn't flood the other person. When an avoidant person experiences that kind of emotional steadiness, they may begin to feel respected, safe, and surprisingly attached to you. Another important quality is not playing games, especially manipulative ones. Of course, everyone makes mistakes. Nobody communicates perfectly all the time. But there is a difference between making a mistake and intentionally trying to control someone's emotions or behavior. Direct, honest communication can be incredibly valuable in a relationship with an avoidant person. Instead of using manipulation, guilt, jealousy, or indirect messages, you say what you mean and allow the other person to understand where you stand. Another trait I find interesting is having a generally positive attitude toward love and life. Honestly, this is helpful in almost every relationship, but it can be particularly powerful around someone who has developed negative beliefs about closeness, relationships, or even people in general. You don't have to lecture your avoidant partner or convince them that love is wonderful. Sometimes your own outlook speaks for itself. Maybe you're watching a public figure and their spouse go through a difficult situation, and you casually say, I really admire that they've stayed committed to each other through everything. You're simply sharing your perspective. You're expressing appreciation for loyalty and commitment without directing a lesson at your partner. Over time, being around someone who sees love in a healthier or more hopeful way can quietly challenge the negative beliefs an avoidant person may carry. You're not forcing them to change. You're simply being yourself, and they get to experience another perspective through you. Another quality is knowing how to correct your partner with respect. If they say something inaccurate or do something that you genuinely need to address, you don't have to embarrass them in front of other people. If possible, you can wait until you're alone and bring it up privately. Maybe they said something that wasn't factually correct. Or perhaps they got an important detail about your relationship wrong. You might gently say afterward, "Hey, I just wanted to clarify something about what was said earlier." There is no need to make them feel foolish or expose them publicly. For example, if they tell someone you've been together for 2 years, when it's actually been almost 3, you could simply mention it later in a light and respectful way. The point isn't that every tiny mistake needs correcting. Most things truly don't matter. But when something does matter, the way you address it can make a huge difference. Respecting your partner's dignity matters. Another trait is appreciating effort, not only outcomes. This doesn't mean results are never important. Of course they are. But there is something powerful about recognizing how hard someone is trying, how much progress they have made, and the effort they are putting into becoming better. Instead of constantly asking, "Why hasn't this worked yet?" you might say, "I can see how much you're trying," or "I'm proud of the progress you've made." You value effort in yourself as well as in your partner. You create a relationship where growth is noticed, not just perfection. Avoidant people can respond very strongly to this kind of appreciation. Feeling that their efforts are seen can make emotional closeness feel less threatening and more rewarding. Of course, there are always other factors involved, but this is definitely a pattern worth thinking about. And finally, another quality I've noticed is the ability to let certain things go. I see this come up often in couples therapy. Sometimes an avoidant partner will openly recognize that the other person has been patient and has let many things slide. They may say something like, "I know they've tolerated a lot, and I know some of it is probably building up inside them. I want to change. I want to save this relationship." That doesn't mean ignoring serious problems or accepting behavior that hurts you. Letting go should never mean abandoning your boundaries, but knowing the difference between what truly needs to be addressed and what can simply pass can create more peace in a relationship. Sometimes avoidant people deeply value a partner who doesn't turn every imperfection into a battle, while still having the strength to speak up when something genuinely matters. Avoidant people often mention this more than you might expect. They'll say something like, "One of my favorite things about this person is that they don't hold on to every little thing." And sometimes they connect that feeling directly to their desire to improve, saying, "Because of that, I want to be a better husband," or "It makes me want to be a better wife." Now, the phrase "little things" can be complicated because what feels small to one person may feel deeply important to someone else. So I wouldn't tell you to ignore your feelings or pretend that something doesn't matter when it clearly does. But in general, there is value in not dwelling on every disappointment, mistake, or irritation. Sometimes, in order to protect connection, you have to temporarily put something down. That doesn't mean you are letting it go forever. It simply means you may choose the right moment to address it instead of allowing every issue to become a source of conflict. Another quality that can be especially meaningful is knowing how to give someone space while remaining consistent. I know that sounds like a difficult balance, but stay with me. You can respect their need for distance without disappearing emotionally. You still show that you're there. You remain predictable and steady. For example, you might say, "I can tell you need some time tonight, so I'll give you space. I'll check in with you tomorrow." That's space combined with consistency. You're not chasing them, but you're also not punishing them by withdrawing completely. Your presence doesn't suddenly disappear just because they need a moment to themselves. Another trait I've noticed is moving through life with a sense of confidence about the future. This is not the same thing as being arrogant. Arrogance can actually push avoidant people away. What I'm talking about is a quiet confidence and curiosity about where life might lead. Maybe you're unhappy in your current job and have spent time building some savings. You apply for other opportunities, have a few interviews coming up, and decide that even without an official offer in hand, you trust yourself enough to make a change and focus on what comes next. Would that be the right decision for everyone? Probably not. It depends on the circumstances. But the important part here is that you're approaching your life with openness rather than being completely ruled by fear. You're willing to explore, you're curious about possibilities, and you're not convinced that you have to control every single outcome before taking a step forward. This can be meaningful because people often fall in love with qualities they admire and qualities they secretly wish they could develop themselves. Avoidant people can struggle with control. I know this personally because I used to have avoidant tendencies, and I was extremely controlling about my schedule. It reached a point where my need to control my time and decisions could push people away, and honestly, at the time, I didn't even care. Everything had to be done according to my plan, my decisions, my way. I had a very "I know what's best" attitude. I'm not that person anymore, but I understand where that rigidity can come from. When someone close to an avoidant person models curiosity and flexibility, it can quietly show them another way to live. They begin to see that they don't have to control everything. They don't have to predict every outcome before moving forward. They don't have to be so rigid, isolated, or focused only on themselves. Many avoidant people don't necessarily enjoy these patterns within themselves. They may simply not know another way to operate. These habits can begin very early in life and become so familiar that they feel normal. So when you model a different approach, you're not forcing them to change. You're simply showing them that another way is possible. And if they see that your openness leads to good experiences, they may slowly become more willing to loosen their grip on control. That can be something they deeply admire about you. Another important quality is being able to validate their emotions. When an avoidant person shows vulnerability, acknowledging what they're feeling without immediately judging, criticizing, or trying to fix them, can build a tremendous amount of trust. Sometimes, simply letting them know that their feelings make sense is enough. Feeling emotionally accepted can make vulnerability feel less dangerous. Another trait is being willing to call them out when necessary. Of course, this depends on the relationship and the level of trust between you. But many avoidant people openly admit in therapy that they appreciate a partner who is honest with them. They might say, "I like that my partner tells me the truth," or "I trust their opinion because I know they'll be real with me." This doesn't mean criticizing them constantly or turning yourself into their personal judge, but every now and then, being honest about something they need to hear can actually strengthen respect. When it comes from a place of care rather than control, directness can make an avoidant person feel that your relationship is genuine. And then there is something that many people struggle with, especially when they're involved with someone avoidant: talking about yourself. I see this all the time in therapy, and I see it reflected in the conversations people have online. You become so focused on understanding the avoidant person that the entire relationship starts revolving around them. You ask about their day, their feelings, their childhood, their problems, and their life. And if they don't want to talk, you keep trying to find ways to make them comfortable. But somewhere along the way, you stop sharing yourself. You don't talk enough about what's happening in your own life. You don't share your thoughts, experiences, interests, or feelings as openly as you could. The relationship slowly becomes centered around learning everything about them while they know very little about you. But real connection requires two people to be present. An avoidant person may need time to open up, but that doesn't mean you should disappear from the relationship emotionally. Let them get to know you too. Talk about your life. Share your experiences. Allow yourself to take up space in the connection. You don't have to make everything about them in order to be loved. Try to share parts of your own life too. You matter in the relationship just as much as your partner does. When you talk about yourself, your experiences, and the things that matter to you, it communicates something important. You value yourself. And that kind of balance can actually create a healthier connection. You don't always need to put your partner first. In fact, constantly doing that can sometimes make an avoidant person uncomfortable. Many avoidant people genuinely dislike feeling like they're being placed on a pedestal. It can feel like a lot of pressure. I may talk more about this another time, but for some avoidant individuals, this feeling can connect to experiences from childhood where they were expected to be a certain way or were treated as though they had to live up to someone else's expectations. I'll use myself as a quick example. I've mentioned before that my father had avoidant tendencies. Growing up, I often received messages that emotions should be controlled or pushed aside. My parents were divorced, and from a very young age, I was naturally similar to my dad in certain ways. My mother, on the other hand, had a much more anxious attachment style and became very emotionally attached to me. She also had many expectations for me, and honestly, those expectations made me want to pull away even more. It felt frustrating and overwhelming. Looking back, I think some of those expectations came from much deeper emotions. She had wanted certain things from my father, and without consciously realizing it, some of that may have been transferred onto me. There was almost an attempt to make me into something different, perhaps in the hope that I would become what she had wished for in another relationship. But it didn't work. The more pressure I felt, the more I withdrew. And the more I withdrew, the more anxious the situation became. At the same time, I often felt as though I had been placed on a very high pedestal. And this is something important to understand about putting an avoidant person on a pedestal. For someone with avoidant tendencies, being idealized doesn't always feel flattering. It can feel threatening. The internal message can become, if I'm supposed to be this perfect person, what happens when I disappoint you? For some people, being put on a pedestal feels like there will eventually be punishment, anger, or rejection if they fail to meet expectations. I know that's not what most people mean when they idealize their partner. You may simply love them deeply. But when someone is constantly treated as the center of everything, expected to be perfect, or seen as the answer to all your happiness, it can create enormous pressure. Avoidant people may begin to believe that if they don't become exactly who you want them to be, everything will fall apart. Again, you may never say this directly. You may never intentionally pressure them at all. But because of their past experiences, that's sometimes how they interpret the situation. I'm sharing this partly from personal experience. You may even discover that your own avoidant partner has similar feelings. So don't lose yourself by putting them above you. Share your own life, have your own voice. Your needs and experiences matter. A healthy relationship is built between two equals. Another quality that can make an avoidant person feel safer is being non-judgmental. Avoidant individuals often feel more comfortable opening up in an environment where they aren't constantly being criticized or analyzed. When they believe they can be themselves without immediately being judged, it can create a stronger sense of emotional safety and trust. And the final quality is being open to new experiences together. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. Try something neither of you has done before, or introduce each other to something new. Maybe it's rock climbing, learning a game, playing chess, visiting a new place, or trying an activity you've both been curious about. Share experiences can help you see each other in a different light. They bring new energy into the relationship and give both people an opportunity to connect outside of the usual patterns. Sometimes seeing someone in a new environment allows you to appreciate different parts of who they are without either person feeling pressured to change. So let's quickly bring everything together. Manage your emotions in a healthy way. Don't play manipulative games. Bring positivity into the relationship and into the way you view life. Correct your partner respectfully instead of embarrassing them. Appreciate effort and growth, not just results. Learn not to hold on to every single issue. That doesn't mean ignoring what truly matters, but it does mean knowing when to pause, release something temporarily, and protect the connection. Give your partner space when they need it, while still being consistent and emotionally present. Move through life with confidence, curiosity, and openness. Validate their feelings when they allow themselves to be vulnerable. Be honest with them and call them out occasionally when it's necessary, because over time, that can help them trust and respect your perspective. And don't forget to talk about yourself. Share what's happening in your life, what you're interested in, and what you hope to do. You don't have to disappear just because you're in a relationship. Be non-judgmental, stay true to yourself, and create new experiences together. These qualities won't guarantee that someone will fall in love or solve every challenge in a relationship. People are complex, and attachment patterns are only one part of the picture. But these are patterns that can help create a connection where an avoidant person feels safer, more respected, and more willing to stay emotionally engaged. I hope this was helpful and gave you something meaningful to think about. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like and subscribe to Inside Avoidant, and I'll see you in the next one.